So good morning, everyone. Or good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. How about you know what? How about hi? Hi, welcome to day four's coverage of Game Over International on the SDPN. I'm Tic Tac Tomar. I think something that's interesting that we saw in particular from Canada yesterday was a lot of excitement, intense exhibitions and events, and also a lot of adversity that we saw from a lot of Canadian athletes, especially to put themselves or put their teams in positions where they can continue to thrive and move on. So that's something that's very interesting. We're going to talk about a lot. Just to recap some things that took place. So first we have from women's ski jumping, we have Abigail Strait, who qualified for the medal round but ended up finishing 23rd. Same thing for when it comes to the mixed biathlon. We have the Team Canada that finished 4th. When it comes to the men's 15 kilometer skiathlon, there's two Canadians that ended up finishing in the top 50 when the medals were handed out, but ROC in Finland took the medals there. And then when it comes to this men's speed skating, which is actually a pretty recent development because I think it just ended about 30 minutes ago. Ted Yen Bloman of Canada ended up finishing ninth. So finished in the top 10 but ninth, which I guess you can consider a bit of an upset because considering back in 2018 in Pyeongchang, he finished with the silver medal in that same event and wound up finishing ninth again here. And I got his quote of what he said after the event, saying, "I fully executed my race plan. I started out really well, and I don't know what happened. I'm really confused. I don't understand it. I don't know what to say." Which, and even though it is kind of an out of context quote, you kind of do, I guess, get the idea and get the feeling of the frustration, perhaps the disappointment. Maybe at 35 years old, perhaps he thought maybe this could be one of the last times he competes, but overall, when you do spend a lot of time preparing for these events, again, especially considering the fact that he had such great success last year, it definitely can be, I guess, disappointing to finish where he finished. But still not over. Still a lot of things to kind of go over and talk about. As far as qualifications go in short track men's speed skating 1,000 meters, you have Jordan Pierre Gillis as well as Pascal Dion, who both qualified, so they'll be in their respective medal rounds. And something really huge took place in the Olympic figure skating, the team event. And to talk about it further, I'm going to bring in my guest, Michael from the Leafs Nation Network at Leafs IMO. Hey,
Yeah.
Michael, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm tired, but but you know what? Like, even though like it's weird, Like, I initially kind of feel like you feel a little fatigued, you feel a little drowsy, but then once you actually get into the conversation and start talking about all these things that are taking place, you get an energy boost. So that's pretty solid. So yesterday, Team Olympic figure skating, where Canada starts off in 6th place, and you need to be in the top 5 to qualify for the medal round. And then Madeline Shizis, 18 years old from Oakville, Ontario, puts Canada on her back, has a amazing performance, and actually brings Canada into the top 5. So if you're an 18-year-old kid and you have so much pressure on you and you're able to perform, like, what has to be going through your head at that moment?
Just a lot of things because obviously the pressure is huge. The stage is big, and the gravity of the situation is obviously immense because like the sheer reality is that you either are taking your team to the next round or you're getting eliminated right then and there. So for an 18-year-old to go up there and just give the performance that she did and just not only just put them in the top 5, but just ensure that they have a chance at the medal. It's nothing short of brilliant because like for me personally, when I was 18, I would have been scared so much, just like on that stage, like, and then just probably mess up and fall down, and then that'd be it right there. So hats off to her. She did a fantastic job, and like the look on her face after it was over, like told it all. Like she, this is just the making of a star on the figure skating world, and it's not going to be the last time we hear from her, and especially not in this Olympics, but like going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, we want to talk about like the reactions, like not even from her, but even from the rest of Team Canada, just like watching and cheering, just like knowing the huge feat that she was able to accomplish. I think was solid. Now going off of that or continuing on with the Olympic figure skating. So a big development that's been taking place is with Keegan Messing, who hasn't been able to actually make it to Beijing yet. Having to pass a number of COVID tests, and he just ended up having the good number of negative tests to actually be able to make his way over to Beijing. Now in his place, Roman Sadovsky's had to do a lot of his events, and he hasn't been doing the best. He hasn't been doing well, and which it's a tough situation to kind of to look at and qualify, because at the same moment, it's like, okay, well, hey, this is the Olympics, this is everything you trained for. But when you kind of put it into context, like, this is his first time performing at any type of world event. This is his first time performing even at the Olympics. So does it make sense for someone to be nervous and not playing their best, especially when they're filling in for someone that Canada is really relying on when it comes to this event?
Absolutely. Like, especially when you have to replace someone who brings so much to the table and has the skills and repertoire needed to get Canada within the conversation of the podium. Like, I can only imagine what's going through Roman's head, like as he steps onto the ice every single time. It's like the pressure, like, it's like, obviously, like trying to get your team into the next round is one thing, but just trying to fill the void for a star is another. And like those voices in your head do a lot of damage if you're not careful. Like, I know from firsthand experiences, like when you're going about your day and then those voices in your head like telling you, no, you can't do this, and then you're not ready for this, and then but even though your body probably is ready, then you go out perform, it just doesn't just work out in your favor. It's very tough to overcome, and I can only imagine what's going on there. And hopefully Roman can turn things around before he gets back. But it's obviously a tough situation to be in, regardless, because obviously everybody knows that COVID is going to play a major factor in all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're already seeing a lot of examples of teams, having to replace players or not have their best athletes in the best positions for events, because of COVID protocol or testing and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's moments like these where you really do have to kind of take in consideration the mental aspect of all these games. Like, yes, you spend your entire life training and working. You wake up in the morning, you eat, breathe, sing, dance, whatever you're going for, and and sometimes yeah, you're physically ready for it, but just the things just don't go your way. And I think that's something that I've really taken away from when it comes to these games, is just like watching these events and watching all of these things. Like, in practice, they're probably nailing like all of this. They're probably doing solid, but then when you're actually on the stage, when you have the judges watching, when you have your teammates watching, the cameras are watching, your family at home is watching and hoping you're doing well. Like, yeah, a lot can kind of come into that. And then when you take in Roman's situation specifically, when he is replacing someone who a lot of people have faith in, yeah, it can definitely weigh on you. So I think that's an important thing to kind of keep in mind, definitely. And we'll see what Keegan does once he ends up arriving, because it's actually going to be a quick development, because he's literally going to arrive and then go right into his event immediately. And kudos to him, because man, I wouldn't be able to do that. I would not be able to do that at all. I would need like 15 coffees and like 6 espressos before doing any of that. So good luck to him once that comes up. All right,
absolutely. Good luck to him.
So let's move on to men's mogul. So when it comes to this event in particular, when it comes to Canada, the big focus is on Mikael Kingsbury, who got ended up getting silver. But the way that it took place, this whole story is fascinating. He finishes top 16, then top 12, and then top 6, makes it to the medal round, and gets silver. Now, this could be the quote-unquote upset of the Olympics, again, considering where or how he finished the last time around. A lot of people maybe expected him to get gold, but who won gold in particular in his place was Walter Wahlberg of Sweden, who did not compete at on the world level due to injury, and wound up winning gold. So on one hand, like, yes, it's an upset. On another hand, it's still a silver medal. But on the other hand, it's like, this is an incredible story of someone who, doesn't have so much world recognition, but to kind of come out and win gold for their country. Like, what what thoughts or what do you think is going through Walter Wahlberg's head, and when he kind of comes on the stage and can win a gold medal?
I can only imagine he's getting really excited, especially going up against a tough foe like that, and just putting it all out there on the hill. Sorry, I almost lost track of what. Anyway, it's always a big step to face a major competition, especially someone who is the odds-on favorite to win. And like, still, he came in second. Like, that should tell you how good he is, and he's still good right now. And the fact that he's even considering retirement, because like, what else is there for him to prove? There isn't really much left. Because I guess a gold medal would be awesome, and this win already cemented his place in Canadian Mogul history with three medals in 3 consecutive Winter Olympics. But for Walter to just do what he did and just steal a potential gold medal, like, that's huge. And I'd be excited if I was him. And like, he could potentially be a threat for years to come. That's what these Olympics do. Like, they make new celebrities or new heroes out of people that when they entered it were ordinary. We're just hoping for even a slimmer of a chance. Like, some people will get there for like reasons that they wish they'd rather not, like having a pretty poor performance. But then there's the ones that just come out of complete nowhere and just inspire so many people in their home country. Like, stories like that are going to get people to want to get on the slopes and try and compete for Mogul going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that those are the big takeaways when it comes to events like this. It's like, yes, the person who we expected to win, who we expected to bring Canada's first gold medal, didn't do that. But I think when you have to consider the entire story and how there's so much positivity from this. And again, I think looking at Walter's story, and none of this takes away from Klingberg's resume either. Like, he's still going to, he's still right now Canada's most decorated athlete as it pertains to freestyle skiing, and that's not going to change. So yeah, I think that should be the focus, opposed to just like, he blew it, this is an upset, how did he lose? I think there are a lot of positives like all around that we can kind of take from these moments, which is pretty solid. All right, yeah. So now moving to Olympic short track speed skating, the mixed relay, the 2,000 meters. Now this is where the intensity of yesterday's events kind of come into play, because Canada they finished, but they didn't finish at the same time. They're actually penalized. So they got an automatic 4th place at the end of the mixed relay because of some collisions. Collisions actually, unfortunately, from the same athlete. Another 18-year-old Florence Brunel, who right off the bat in the initial race collides with Norway. All right, so that they review the tape, see if everything's okay, restart, do the race over. Everyone's going around in circles, and then with about 7 laps to go, again another collision, between Florence and the Hungary player. They both slide into the corner. Then it's finished. The race finishes. But Hungary ends up in 3rd place with the bronze medal. And after they look at it, they actually see that Florence, I want to say, based off of what I saw, thinking that she was pushing her own teammate, to kind of give the teammate speed boost. We see that a lot in hockey, when someone's on a breakaway or something, they'll use their stick and try to give them a speed boost. So the same thing was happening in speed skating, but hit the Hungary player instead, and that led to the collision and to the fall. That has to be tough, wouldn't you say? Especially when it comes to an event like relay, where it's not just you as an individual, it's also you as part of a team. It must be tough to have that situation take place where not only you're falling once, but you're falling twice.
Exactly, and especially in a team sport like that, where all 4 parts have to be holding their weight. Like, I know this applies to like the relay races, where it has four guys, 4 girls, like just running their hearts out, trying to secure a win for their team. And like, if one person falters, then the whole team falters, and that's always a big challenge when it comes to these kind of races, because like, it's the mental. Again, a lot of these events at the Olympics are always about the mental struggles in your head, just as much as the physical activities that you're doing. And something like that, where you're trying to give your team like even the slightest bit of an advantage just to make it life a little easier, and then it could completely backfire on you, that has to be devastating. And those ladies gave their hearts out there, and that's always all you can really ask for. And then like we always get inspired by these performances, regardless of if they end up with a medal or if they fall just short. And I know there's going to be some others that we're going to be talking about a little bit later, but it's just things like that. It's just like they always inspire you in so many different ways. This one in particular is that you. Everyone can pull their weight, but if one person falters, then the whole thing crumbles, and that's okay.
Yeah, Michael, and you bring up a good point in that, like, and sometimes all it takes is that one moment, and the fascinating events is when literally the difference between first and second are in just like a matter of seconds, right? Like even going back to men's mogul with Mikael Kingsbury, it's such a narrow window where you have Walter Wahlberg who finishes with 83.23, and then Michael finishes 82.18. So it's like a fraction of a difference, and sometimes that's all it takes. And when going back to the mixed relay, China ends up taking the gold, but it was close. It was so close, and it makes events like that really really intense, and definitely unfortunate. But you know what? Like speed skating is an event that I personally like just because I like the smoothness of it. Just especially looking at the crossovers and the edge work, because I'm thinking like, if I was doing this, like I would fall like immediately. So watching the unity of it, especially in the relay where like the athletes are kind of going around in the circle on their own, and then their teammates in the middle are trying to like catch up, and then it's such a smooth transition where like it's actually fascinating that the collisions in the fall don't happen more often. But again, I guess that just speaks to to the training, to the dedication, and also to the timing and the unity and how in sync the rest of the team is. All right, curling. Mixed doubles curling has been a conversation for since the beginning of the Olympics, especially in Team Canada, who had a pretty big huge set of wins. First off, defeating the US 7-2. That was a huge win because heading into that game they were tied with the US, fourth in the standings. And at first it was just back and forth, but once you're at the end of the fourth end, they just took over. They just completely took over. 3 points at the seventh end, just to get the win. And after then, their second game, or their next game rather, against Czechia, winning 7-5. That actually needed an extra end to get a final decider, as both teams were tied at 5. But Team Canada ended up getting the final 2 points and getting the win there. So now they're tied for second with Great Britain. I mean, I guess when it comes to all of these games, and when it comes to the intensity and the compete, that the team is just looking a lot better. They're communicating a lot, and that's something that I mentioned yesterday. That the fascinating aspect of mixed curling is that you can actually hear all of the decisions, all of the play, the strategies, and so on and so forth. But now they're heading to their next game. And the next game I want to say is against. Back-to-back games against Australia and Italy. Now, Australia in particular does have an interesting little narrative going on. Michael, you were telling me about it earlier. You want to bring it up here?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to say great win for Canada against Czechia. Like that was a huge come from behind win, and very impressive results, I must say. But their next opponent's has had quite an interesting few hours, to say the least. So. About 8 hours ago, at the time of recording this, one of the members of Team Australia, Tahil Gill, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, tested positive for COVID-19, and that basically ended Australia mixed doubles curling event. And she was obviously devastated. The Australian Olympic Committee was devastated, and she even posted a video just expressing her gratitude for even having such an opportunity. And just to have her dreams crushed, just right, she was about to start before she even could start the race, kind of thing. But then maybe about 2 hours later, or 3 hours later, sorry, the Australian team was given permission to return back to the event, and they were given the approval by the medical expert panel, basically just saying, oh well, her levels were at reasonable numbers, and she can compete in the event after all. So it was a very roller coaster of 3 hours, just oh, sorry, your Olympic dreams are over. JK, LOL, here you go, you can do it again. Mm-hmm. But I can only imagine what was going through Tahil Gill's head, because that has to be an emotional burden. And one thing that she'll never forget for sure, because and when she got to compete again at the at their very next game, like Australia won their first mixed curling doubles event. So it was a huge moment for them. Obviously, it's just for Tahil Gill, it's just like what a moment it was for her.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely see, be able to see them again as they take on Team Canada. They have a back-to-back and kind of like a double-header where, again, they face Australia and after then move on to facing Italy right after. All right, so now let's get into the meat and potatoes of the event, because women's snowboard slopestyle had its end. So we're all cheering for Laurie Bluen, who ended up qualifying, who didn't medal, finished fourth. Which again another athlete who in the previous Olympics in Pyeongchang back in 2018 finished with a silver medal in the event, but managed to finish fourth at this time, but that is no detriment to what she did. And actually it was fascinating to hear the commentators just talk about it, because they were just blown away of how many solid performances that there were, and how a lot of these athletes like came to play and brought their best in this event where they're taking the best of three scores. And even for Laurie Bluen, her final run, like the commentators were saying, like the fact that she can't even medal after this just speaks to the depth of talent that we saw on the slopestyle. So a huge event overall. Michael, what were your thoughts on women's slopestyle snowboarding?
It was absolutely incredible from start to finish. Like, I was very impressed with how all the ladies were just giving it their all on the track, and I thought a lot of them were taking a lot of risks because they knew that the talent pool was just that high. And like you're seeing them making like these aggressive spins or these loops, and just trying to nail these things to get like higher scores. And some of them would fall, and I'd be like, oh goodness, hopefully no one gets hurt here.
Yeah, man, when they fall, it's like you jump. Like it's like when like just like watching it happen, it's like, oh my gosh, geez. So yeah.
Let's just say there was a lot of times where they fall and they hurt their ankle in some way, and I'd immediately grab my ankle, be like, oh nope, I don't want to get hurt either. But Boulan like gave a fantastic performance, and I was very impressed with how she was doing. Like even on her last run, I thought like that was more than enough for her to get even close to a podium. Just for the fact that she didn't and like finished just in fourth, like has to be devastating. Like the worst thing you could possibly do at the Olympics is to finish in fourth place, because you had a solid enough performance, but then to just miss out on a podium by that much, it has to suck. But like there's tip to have to Lance Boulan. She did fantastic. She had a fantastic run, and I think this won't be the last time we see her. But also congratulations to Zoe Sano. Like her performance was outstanding, and I'm sure you saw the reaction at the end of the race. Like it was such a wholesome moment,
so
like
wholesome.
A great moment for New Zealand.
Yeah, so wholesome. Yeah, you mentioned Zoe Sadowski-Synnette, who wound up getting the gold medal for New Zealand. The first gold medal at the Winter Olympics for New Zealand, which was a solid feat there. Another story from the women's slopestyle was Julia Marino, who started out not the best. I think one of her first runs, I think she had like a 2.98. And then just from there, she wound up qualifying, and just was just hitting run after run after run after run. And after that, at some point, she was in the perfect position, to end up getting that gold medal. But again, Zoe Sadowski-Synnette, came up huge. Actually won it with her final run. And just ended up getting the gold medal there, which was solid. Also, shout out to Tess Cody, who won her first Olympic medal, which is solid there. But yeah, I think definitely the takeaway from that entire event is, and aside from just the obvious skill and the work ethic and just the age of some of these athletes, like I want to say the Japanese athlete was 17, and I'm just like watching this, I'm like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable just seeing how much you can improve in a particular sport, like over the course of X amount of years, where you're comfortable with just like propelling yourself into the air and doing a whole bunch of flips and stuff. So that was solid, and I think that was huge. But again, the huge takeaway was definitely the end, where after Zoe claims the gold medal, just like all the athletes just ran out, and it was just a dog pile of hugs and congratulations and happiness. And I think it's moments like those that show that even though yes it's a competition, that everyone recognizes and knows that they all went through similar training, similar difficulties. A lot of these people grew up together, or at least meeting at different events, whether it's Olympics, whether it's a world championship. And I guess seeing how at the end of the competition they can say, well, okay, well, that's done. Let's be supportive of each other. It's definitely one of those moments that makes you smile uncontrollably. Don't you think, Michael?
Absolutely. Like, it's the end of a grueling 4-year training process to get to that moment. So to celebrate the major accomplishment of Zoe Sadowski-Synnott, who obviously, like I said, won the first a medal of any kind at the Winter Olympics for New Zealand. Like, that's a huge moment, and for them to be there to witness history is one thing, but just to show some camaraderie and team spirit is another. And at the end of the day, like, the games are always meant to be fun, and like these athletes are giving it their all. They're showing how much skill and talent that they possess, but they're having fun. And they just make it look so easy. Like, obviously, for me, if I were going down the slopes, I would be regretting every single decision I've made. And just seeing my life flashing before my eyes. Like, why did I do this? But for them, they killed it. And we're going to have at least 2 or 3 more Winter Olympics where these ladies are going to be absolutely putting on a show. And snowboarding style is going to be a must watch for future Olympics. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, so at the end of all of these events, we have it might be too early to start looking at the medal board, at the medal table, but I took a gander. I looked anyway. So as of this recording, Canada is sitting 9th at the medal table. Again, with Mikael Kingsbury, who got his silver medal in men's mogul, and as well as Isabel Weideman, who got bronze in speed skating the day before, which. Again, kudos to her. That was solid. Again, not only the fact that it was Canada's first medal at the 2022 Winter Olympics, but it was also the 200th medal for Canada at the Winter Olympics. So those are some incredible feats. But you have to wonder, as the days go on, and again, as more and more Canadians are starting to qualify for their respective events, who is going to be the next set of people, to end up being put in positions. To get medals, so aside from the qualifications that we mentioned earlier, again, Jordan Pierre Gillis and Pascal Dion, we also have men's snowboard slopestyle that is picking up. So we have 3 Canadians that have qualified. So Mark McMorris, who finished second, Sebastian Touton, who finished 8th, and then Max Perot, who finished 10th. So a lot of good opportunities for Canada to get to put themselves in positions to get more medals. But again, when it comes to I guess the Olympic experience, again, I think even though we focus on which country is getting X amount of gold medals or which country is getting X amount of silver medals, I think to Michael, to your point earlier, I think we can really take a page out of what we saw at the end of the women's slopestyle snowboarding event, and just remember the fact that, hey, this is supposed to be fun, right? This is something that that people worked for their entire lives, and now they're getting an opportunity to display their skills, not just in front of their peers and family, but also in front of the world. So I think that's actually something that's pretty awesome. So before wrapping up, I just wanted to make a special shout out. This is something that I saw that I didn't even notice. So Emily Anderson, Frederick Anderson's little sister, and in Leafs Nation, even though Frederick Anderson is no longer playing for the Leafs, there are still a number of Frederick Anderson fans cheering for him in Carolina. So yeah, his little sister Emily Anderson has made Team Denmark, playing defense. So she has made her Olympic debut. She's played a pair of games. I think they're gonna, I want to say, against Japan and also against the People's Republic of China. So it'll be interesting to see, see how she does and how she goes through. But again, that's just something that I thought was awesome. So I just want to give a special little shout out to Emily Anderson, and we'll see how she does. Especially as the women's team is definitely going to start to pick up soon. So Thank you for another morning of listening, of watching Game Over International. Tomorrow, Andrew Berkshire will be back covering the Olympics. So for myself and for Michael, thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good sleep, and let's take it easy, and we'll see you later.